Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mayor and City Council meeting Monday, August 11th, 2025. If you'd please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please show all council members present. We have Councilmember Kollenach on the virtual today. Up next, we have approval of the minutes from the July 9th, 2025 and July 14th, 2025 regular meetings. I'm looking for a motion in regards to that.
Motion to approve the minutes.
For a second.
Second.
Any additional comments, questions, or concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Carries. Up next, I have council member statement regarding conflicts of interest on agenda items. Would any council member like to make a statement today? Hearing none, I am proceeding forward to public comment pertaining to agenda and non-agenda items. If you'd like to comment on a specific agenda item, please see the clerk and sign up for that agenda item. If not, now would be the appropriate time to approach to talk about agenda and non-agenda items. Seeing nobody move, I am proceeding forward to resolution, ordinances, and agreements. First, we have introduction of ordinance 18-2025, Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. This is adding a sixth member and adjusting some of their chairs and secretary positions. I'm looking for a motion in regards to it.
Move to introduce.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next, we have ordinance 19-2025, fiscal year 2025, budget amendment number 3. Looking for a motion in regards to this.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Second.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Carries. Up next, we have ordinance 20-2025, fiscal year 2026, budget amendment number 1. Looking for a motion in regards to this.
Motion to introduce.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. Carries. City manager report. Jim, do you have anything extra for us today?
Yeah, a couple quick updates. The Westview Drive project is moving along very well, but in looking towards the speed tables and such, and thinking about speed and traffic control, police were out there taking a look at things and recommended that we make the intersection of Church and Westview Drive a 4-way stop instead of just 2-way. So we're going to go ahead and do that. On the Memorial Drive water line replacement, we had recently approved a proposal from CDM Smith to do the design work on that. And in doing some test pitting, we've come to realize that what we thought was cast iron is actually ductile iron, meaning that we don't need to replace as much as we thought we would. So that project, the scope of that project is going to change a good bit. So we expect that both the engineering and ultimately the construction costs should come down a bit. So it looks like the existing service lines are connected to the transite line that we know is there that we want to abandon, but it looks like ductile iron runs pretty much the entire way as well. So they've done a lot of test pitting with the hydro excavator and verified that it appears to be ductile iron all the way from Frederick Street down to Park Drive. There's still some need to construct some new water line, but it's going to be mostly getting the services off of the transite and onto the ductile line. So project's changing, hopefully for making it smaller. Just wanted to get that.
the ductile line sized enough that we don't have to bother with a second line there now?
Yes, yeah. And it's still kind of a mystery why
There are two.
we have two, and they've come across like a really bizarre, I don't know quite how to put it, almost like a box of water lines at one of the intersections of the side alleys where it tees off and then turns 90 degrees and then comes back in. So like one line comes down the alley, tees off close to the bottom of the alley, and then 90 degrees back over and meets the water main feet away from where the one in the alley meets. We have no idea why it was done that way.
We're gonna need this later.
Maybe so.
It may have been a temporary, if the ductile would be a later installation, that may have been a temporary crossover while they were,
It may have been,
on it,
yeah, and
but
then
it
they just left
wasn't,
it, they
yeah,
just left it in place to keep a circuit or whatever, but
yeah, but it wasn't on our index map, so, yeah, so some good news on the Memorial Drive project. And let's see. I think the only other thing I've got, we'll get to, I did just want to give you a heads up. I had left this environmental stewardship in Carroll County publication at your table Wednesday night. That's really just involves some of the MPDES stuff that we share the joint permit with Carroll County and the other municipalities, so that's why it was on the table. I forgot to mention something about it Wednesday, so
Got anything else, or is that it?
that's it,
Sounds good. Department reports, you got anything else for department reports?
not unless there are questions.
Any questions, comments, concerns regarding city manager report and department reports from council? Hearing none, I'm proceeding forward to new business, monthly financial report. Looking for a motion in regards to that.
move to accept.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Carries. Up next, we have accounts payables. Looking for a motion in regards to that.
Motion to approve accounts payable.
Looking for a second.
Second.
I'll give it to Tillman.
Rock, paper, scissors.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Carries. Up next, we have water relief request 4150 Sales Mill Road. Jim, did you want to give an updated figure on what that looks like as far as their average usage goes? Because
Yeah.
one thing that happened, they aren't on sewer, they're just water.
Just water.
So it actually even
Right.
reduces it to a third of what we were expecting.
Okay.
When we talked about it Wednesday night, I didn't realize that they were only connected to water, so that changes it to $43.50 would be.
Just as a side question, is there no sewer service out that way, or is that like the only thing that would have been connected, so we didn't run it, or what's the?
There's no sewer service contiguous
Yeah,
to the
that
property right now, so
When-
they would need, there was a sewer force main discussed, and their annexation agreement does speak to that, but it was not constructed, and they're not on sewer, so so that would reduce, if you were to say up to 6,000 gallons, that would be $43.50
A quarter.
quarter, yes.
And again, I know Jim was looking at the easement. Jim, I know you were saying you couldn't tell whether those trees were part of our easement or not.
That is correct. The easement that we have on file has a big black circle over the area, and from the drawing, we really can't tell where the trees are without having
Getting it surveyed. And
or
It'd be
without
more
having
expensive then.
our engineer take time to model it in CAD or something.
$43 a quarter, I think
So,
we'll just go ahead
yeah.
and take that.
And that's what it's a very goodwill gesture, you know. Again, we cut down some trees, we cut down some shrubs and whatnot. So again, I don't think it's a far ask.
Nope.
Anyways, looking for a motion in regards to that.
Move to approve that credit, that
Okay.
water credit.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Carries. Up next, we have award of manhole rehabilitation bid. That should be on your guys' desk, and you should have received it in your packets, an updated packet today. I am looking for a motion in regards to that, unless, Jim, did you want to speak to it at all before we did that? I think it's
Just
pretty
to please
self-explanatory.
include in the motion who it's being awarded to.
So, yeah, so when you do the motion, please make sure you're naming who it's being awarded to, which would be Geyer, again, the suggestion here is Geyer Brothers, Inc. Looking for a motion in regards to that.
Motion to approve the award to Geyer Brothers, Inc.
For a second,
Second.
additional comments, questions, concerns by council?
Just real quick, last words. Are we sure they can do it for the money they put in?
It was actually a little bit above the engineer's probable cost estimate, so they believe it is realistic.
Okay, no,
And it-
oh yeah, no, I understand, get that. I just want to make sure that,
Oh, yeah, I know,
Yeah.
believe me, I've
because
been
I've
down
seen
that
people,
road
yeah,
many
I've seen
times.
people come in at low bids and then go, oh crap, and have to do a bunch of change orders. So if we feel it's good, all good.
And their reference, Westminster MD, is that Westminster government?
Yes, I believe it was.
Okay, so I mean, again, they've been used by other
Yeah.
municipalities, so, and that checked out as far as the recommendations go. Anyways, additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Carries. Up next, we have nominations for boards and commissions. These are being presented as a slate. There is 15 new appointees and 6 or 7 reappointees. The reappointments would be Bill Eisenberg and Barry Garner to Planning and Zoning Commission, Brandon Reddy, Tim Dunn, and Christy Knapp to Zoning Board of Appeals, Kelly Bowie to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. The new appointments would be Ollie Glass to Planning and Zoning Commission, Alexander Kelly and Samuel Klein to Zoning Board of Appeals, Denise Sampson, Natasha Doan, and Kathy Watson to Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. And then we have, this will be for the Design Standard Review Board. Councilmember Jim McCarron would be the council liaison. Jim Parker would be the liaison from Planning and Zoning. Alexander Kelly would be the liaison from Board of Appeals. And then the other new appointees besides the liaisons would be David Bowie and Angela Stefone to the Design Standard Review Board. And then up next, we have Ethics, which is Brandy Bollinger, Amanda Rankin, Doreen Campbell, and Kathy LaPointe to the Ethics Commission. I'm looking for a motion in regards to this.
I don't know if we want to have this discussion before we move on this. Or-
Discussion happens after the
Okay.
movement. Looking for a motion.
Motion to accept nomination, or nominate.
Looking for a second.
Second.
Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council?
Yeah, I have a problem with this entire process. You know, we got this list of names at 5 o'clock this morning with no other information. And,
What other information are you expecting for boards and commissions?
well, you know, were there other people interested? Is there anything, have we checked any backgrounds? Do we,
So backgrounds aren't checked for boards and commissions. As far as other people interested, I had an ad, actually, a Facebook ad placed out for design and review and Board of Appeals, and we have had ethics open for probably 6 months on the city website. The interest that we have are the individuals that I've had here, and some of these people I reached out to try to fill these boards because we weren't getting applications for design review board, for instance. We weren't getting applications for board of zoning appeals, for instance.
well, I mean, I understand that, but we're being asked to approve, I mean, I know most of the people on this list, but I don't know if that's necessarily the case for like Harry or Nick. I don't know if they know all these people. We're being asked to approve them without any information, and we're being asked to approve the whole thing as a lot, without.
Again, I guess my question would be, what information are you expecting? Their boards and commissions. There is no real information provided with boards and commissions. These are the volunteer positions.
I'm not happy with this process. This is not, you know, I'm not sure how this has been done in the past, but,
So I'll
In the
tell
past,
you,
you fill out a form and the mayor would look at it and he
Presents the
decides to
nomination.
present it for nomination.
well, and I understand that, you know, in some cases, we're almost literally running around with a net trying to get people onto these boards. And so far be it for me to want to discourage anyone from doing this. I have some concerns about some of these names for various reasons. But there's been no opportunity to discuss this at all.
this
and
is
so it's all,
the opportunity to discuss the names, because it should be discussed in public regarding the names. Again, these are volunteer boards. Literally had to go find people to fill these boards, and I did just that. Is there a particular name that stands out to you?
there are a couple. One is poor Alex here is on is on two different ones. I'm not, you know, but one of which is election, so, you know, I'm not sure if that's.
Elections is a seasonal, and they don't meet again until the next election,
So
in which case their
I
board,
mean, that's just a procedural thing that, you know.
and their board is actually vacated before the next election. So the
All
board.
right, so
the-
that's a no-brainer. Okay, that answered my question. I had a question, you answered it. But I do have, you know, I have an issue with Ollie Glass. Not that I have any issues with Ollie Glass, because I like Ollie Glass. You know, he and I are friends, and I value his viewpoints, but considering the fact that he owns a large number of properties in the downtown area, you know, is his place on the planning commission not a de facto conflict of interest?
So this is, again, it isn't a de facto conflict of interest, but he would have to announce any conflict of interest he has. It kind of, again, it kind of plays back to, for instance, 3 people up here are going to be taking part in Main Street stuff, but have businesses on Main Street, just because that doesn't mean you can't do those things. And again, he's been asking to be back on planning and zoning for a while now. I talked.
And I know
with,
he's interested in it, and I don't want to discourage that interest, but I want to bring that out there, just because.
I feel like planning and zoning is a board where you want people who know what they're doing too.
Yeah,
And
I
Ollie has
agree.
past
And
experience.
he's had to work through the process a number of times. And I will say, I talked with Jim Parker over the weekend, asked him about the nomination for it, and he said he can work with them, and it looks good. And he's the current chair for that
About
board.
if Mr. Parker is okay with it, then I'm okay with it.
That's okay. I'll be the curmudgeon that stands in the way of of the big property people.
Have curmudgeon put on your nameplate.
I'm surprised it wasn't there from the beginning.
Any additional names?
I have an objection just on the general principle of the way this is being done. The fact that we got the information the hours before the meeting, and the fact that we're having to change it to this format anyway is something that I don't think is necessary. I think it's much more transparent to be able to approve these nominees individually as they're brought before council, not as a whole slate.
If you guys want to do that, I will go through each of these names individually, and we can go for votes on each of them tonight.
Again, it's gives us a chance to,
Voice individual concerns on each nomination. Again, they're appointments to boards.
well, my view is that board appointments are the mayor's prerogative. And unless there's some glaring issues with some or more of the candidates, you ought to have your way. I'm not objecting to that per se. I'm just objecting to the way this is going to be structured in the future. I think it's a lot more Republican, perhaps, to do it the way that we've been doing it for years. And when we brought this up the first time, I said the same thing. I just don't think there's any need to change it, and that's my major objection.
Okay. So again, this spreadsheet just helps keep track of where everybody is and where their terms in and whatnot. We've already done the staggered in terms. That was done through ordinance. Yeah. This list will essentially go online to show where everybody sits, when their terms expire and whatnot. So again, this is following the ordinance that is now in place. I'm up to going through each name individually if council would like, or we can do them as a slate of the candidates presented. But again, it's a confirmation of board appointees. There's really nothing more that has to be provided on them. There's no background checks that are done for people for board appointees. They do have to, depending on what board they're on, they have to follow the financial disclosure statements and whatnot. But that's kind of the extent of what that goes to. And I'll say when I came on planning and zoning, for instance, I was approached at a election thing and just asked by the mayor, hey, do you want to serve on planning and zoning? I was like, oh, sure. That's right. So again, this isn't, I think this is actually more transparent than any of that was. They're listed out here. They're listed when their terms are. You can even see where their term is slotted. Any additional comments, questions, concerns by council before I go to vote?
Councilman Tillman asked the question about how it's been done historically, and Councilman McCarron alluded to that a little bit, and that process has really varied depending upon the mayor. In some instances, the mayor asks staff or the city manager for recommendations. Sometimes people were interviewed before their name was put forward. Sometimes there was discussion among council as to whether to open it to people who live outside of the city versus a focus on inside the city. So it's really been kind of, case by case, and up to the mayor at the time.
So I guess in the 2 years that I've been here, I think the only thing we ever voted on in terms of a board or commission, where there were couple of nominations back in April or whatever it was. One got voted down and one got pulled. But again, I had no information about the candidates or, what their interest might be or what might be lurking in anybody's history that may come back as maybe an ethics issue or something else, because I just don't know. I don't know who they are.
And there's not a hard,
really
fast procedure on it. There have been times that the applications were shared with council, but that's not universal.
And there could be instances where ethics violations come up with any of us, for example,
Yeah, and that
not
doesn't
like we have
exclude you
background
from,
checks either.
yeah, that doesn't exclude you from serving on a board or an appointed position, for instance. Additional comments, questions, concerns by council? Nick, are you going to be able to say something when I go to the vote?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, man, you sound awful, brother.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Appointments carry. Clara, I'll make sure all the contact information makes it your way to make sure you contact the individuals regarding their terms and whatnot. Thank you. Up next, we have council member reports, starting with Councilmember Miller. Actually,
I think we're going to leave
Council,
Cal-
yeah,
Councilmember Kalanick out of this one.
Nick, I'm gonna leave you out for this one this week.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I was gonna ask if I could.
Feel better, brother.
Parks and Rec did Parks and Rec things.
Yes. They did a lot of Parks and Rec things, including 4th of July, which is fabulous. And
So all active officers took 2 hours of autism for law enforcement definition and prevalence. They also did training for human trafficking 101. On 7/11, or I guess July 11th it would be. Officer Darby and Officer Betcher attended defensive tactics training conducted by the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. Officer Myers completed basic instructor training, which is a 35-hour course, which is required by the state of Maryland to be a certified instructor. Officer Dakota Myers also completed social media and open source investigations training on July 14th. In terms of call, total dispatched or generated calls for service were 538. Total citations issued, 25. Total warnings issued, 181. Total adult arrest, 9. And total juvenile arrest, 0. The Taneytown Police Department had a number of events that they participated in July. July 3rd, the department participated in the Independence Day celebration at Memorial Park. On July 10th, members of the department participated in Touch a Truck event held at the Taneytown Library. July 14th through July 18th, Lieutenant Castlar participated with other numerous law enforcement agencies in the week-long Camp Cops. This is kind of equivalent to like a little mini junior police academy. I know it's a big event, and the kids are always super excited for it. And it aims to foster positive relationships between children and the law enforcement professionals serving our community. On July 18th, Ms. Ingalls conducted a car seat check at the Taneytown Police Station. July 23rd, Officer Eccles and K-9 Trigger attended story time at the Taneytown Library. July 24th, Ms. Ingalls conducted another car seat check at the Taneytown Library, as well as the Taneytown Police Station on July 30th. So lots of car seat checks going on. That's it.
Councilmember Mead.
We had a couple of meetings of planning and zoning, one for the comprehensive plan where a spirited discussion was had, as is tradition. They're still finalizing the overall plan and hope to see all of it soon. Otherwise, only two things were up. One was concept approval for the DPW building, which the concept was approved, but it was made clear that the money doesn't really exist, and there's a good chance things are going to change. And then a variance for a house on Commerce Street. Basically wanted to change their setbacks, which made sense, so we rolled with it. Other than that, pretty much things rolled right along.
Sounds good. Councilmember Tillman.
Now that we have, we're finally getting down to actual business and trying to do the good work of the Economic Development Department. We reaching out to potential businesses in town. We did have two businesses open. The photo studio right next door, and then down from that, the style design or style standard beauty salon opened down at the corner of Riffles Lane and Baltimore Street. So those are some very positive things. And we are in the process of trying to assemble a committee, advisory committee for the Main Street.
Sounds good. Councilmember McCarron.
In lieu of the Public Works Department report, I'll let you all read that. There's not a whole lot of changes from last month, but we've already talked about the Westview Drive project, and the meeting for Riffles Lane grading was completed, but I want to spend some time a little bit talking about 250th Committee, and thanks to Councilman Tillman. He prepared my script for me tonight. Saturday night, we met this morning for the first time in the conference room, Councilman Tillman, myself, Bob Jones, and Paul Kuhn. And the reason we four met is because we were the four who attended the Heart of the Civil War meeting in Mount Airy that we talked about last month. And we got a lot of good information about that. A lot of enthusiasm was present at that meeting and is well represented throughout the county, both Carroll and Frederick County. And this morning we kind of got together and kind of said, well, what should we do? What's our next step? And some of the ideas that were just tossed around. This was really just a brainstorming session today, but we talked about something like having a kind of a fundraiser, a bull and oyster roast type deal this winter, and maybe get ready for a bigger event in the springtime. Maybe we've thrown out the idea of having an old-time baseball game, because baseball is such a part of our culture here in Taneytown. And maybe promotions with the Frederick Keys or wherever. There's a lot of this random thoughts floating around. We did decide we needed Lorena with us because everything we talked about involved her in some way. So we're going to meet again on September the 8th and try to get Lorena involved and talk about some of the things that we've talked about. One of the things was the event that's already planned, the Birds and Bourbon in Bollinger Park this fall. Maybe kind of tie into that a little bit as be our kickoff event for this 250th anniversary, and maybe have a bluegrass band or string band from the chamber music type thing. I don't know what we would do, but we haven't fleshed that out yet. But try to tie into that event somehow, and maybe just introduce people generally to the concept of the 250th anniversary. We talked about, as the year went on, tying into the wine festival, making that part of the 250th celebration, and featuring some of the music through the ages, I guess, and a lot of good ideas. Well, we talked about a history festival in our municipal parking lot. We used to hold a lot of events back there. They were pretty successful, and they really opened it. It really is beneficial for Main Street to have the event down there, because people can filter in through the business community. So we've got that on the list to talk more about. And we were geocaching site at one time. I don't know whether we still are or not, Jim, but that would maybe tie into some history-related geocaching items for Taneytown. And we talked about working with the National Park in Gettysburg, or National Battlefield in Gettysburg, maybe trying to arrange a shuttle on the Day of History Fest, for instance, to bring people down from Gettysburg into Taneytown to participate in that event. We talked about the stakeholders that are involved, and I hope to be able to come up with a letter that I'm going to send to the various groups in town, the churches, the Legion, and the Lions. We were unsure of that status right now, but anybody that might have a particular interest in history and the history of our community. We have a meeting, or I have a meeting with the museum on the 28th of August, and I hope to have Bob Jones accompany me there. Bob went up and toured the museum. He was very pleased with it, and we were very pleased to have him come up and do that. So we just want to get to know one another a little bit better and explain some of this detail to the museum committee, kind of coordinate everything together. I thought maybe developing some kind of timeline for our history would be a project that the museum could take on. Working and partnering with the Carroll County Historical Society is another idea that we had. I think that it would be important to not only use our resources with our Taneytown History Museum, but also the county's history society. Historical Society. So things are starting to move, and I think that they'll move at probably a pretty rapid pace once we get on track, once we get our committee established. And speaking to the people who might be listening at home, we're looking for volunteers to participate in this event and offer your suggestions and input. And if you're interested in attending the September the 8th meeting, we certainly could probably accommodate you to get you up to speed. But anyway, we're moving forward. It looks like there's a lot of good ideas that came out of a short meeting today, and right now having to filter through those and see which is practical and which is probable are two tasks we have to accomplish. So anyway, I felt real good about the meeting today. Wasn't really sure what direction we were going to head, but we had a lot of good ideas on the table from everybody involved. So
I saw you guys' notes. It looked productive. That was good. So yeah, again, I was checking the calendar to make sure we didn't have any Parks and Rec events coming up to mention, but looking good there. So other than that, I did want to say there is the possibility that Congressman Johnny O visits either September or October. There's been talks about having him come out to visit the post office and meeting with the chamber and whatnot as far as their post office relocation goes. As I get more information like that, I'll make sure I send out to council. We'll probably identify a meeting with key stakeholders in regards to all that and send out invites and whatnot. But we'll have a bigger event as well as a smaller event that'll be focused on talking about the points. So council, I'll give more updates on that as we find out more on it. Other than that,
I hear he's a big fan of staying at bed and breakfast.
Other than that, yeah, I guess I'll see you. I'm looking for a motion of adjournment. See you guys in September.
Motion to
adjourn.
To Tillman, I'll give the second to McCarron. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, nay. We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.